So with two hands, that was a lot easier. And I have been the one who has been driving here, but only 2 times. I came in and I went out. So now we have checker up there, and there is another vetiver in the center. So this area here is being visited frequently by the horses, and they graze here. Yeah, the 3 other horses. And this area is quite nice and interesting because there's Bermuda grass. And this is a well, and of course around it there is a lot of vegetation that can take advantage of this. This well is not functioning anymore because the cavern down there has been damaged because they did some experiment a long time ago and it failed. But they used this to water some animals. This used to be a holding area, and therefore it does exist. And the thing is full. But I'm not eager to go there right now. So rather I find my way here. That is the gate to the neighbor's place, where nothing is being done at the moment. You see that the horses have been here. So they're fertilizing this. And this area used to be good, and it's going better and better because of that. So they come here every now and then and graze on fresh green grass. I can hear the pump humming, the pump that is in the water reservoir. So you hear an alarm going off. That is when I should be there to switch the valves. So, and the pond isn't looking that bad because we are pumping water in from the outflow of the water reservoir as much as is possible. There is still a little bit of pumping going on. The pumping happens every time when there is enough sunlight for the solar panels of that other pump, and the cavern of that other well is full. So then when it's empty, the pump turns off and then it fills again. So this is working here very well, and I have been worried about the level, but it is being maintained. And there's also some water coming in from below. So when it was freshly dug, 2 days later, I was swimming in 1.50 meters of water. So that should not empty, despite the fact that we are pumping out of it. But it's the first time that we use it for irrigation, and therefore I'm a bit worried because we might pump it dry. But I don't think that will ever happen. But we are gathering data now, so that is important. And if I show you the back here where I just was, so you see this is green because if the roots are long enough, of course they can reach the water that is in here. And after all, it is Bermuda grass mostly, which does not require a lot. So here are 2 water lines. One is the one from the outflow that refills the tank, and the other one is pumping out. I just saw the horses there on the other side. They are walking down the driveway, and they are going to forage further down. And I also come here. So a few videos back I showed you this area here. And while I was here, I put up this fake fence. So it looks like an electric fence, but it's not hot. And I'm counting on the horses' intelligence to understand, please do not step in here. But my intention is, and I think I can do this in a couple of days, to electrify this by remaking things but I have to do this step by step because I want to work it to have it working properly as a plus-minus fence. So the idea is that this is the positive pole, and this one would be then a negative and another positive, so that when an animal touches both, there will be the shock regardless of the soil humidity. Right now the soil is not conducive to electricity, therefore I have to do it that way. So here, as much wobblers as we had got installed and everything else is prepared. So once we get a new batch of wobblers, we can finish it in a couple of days, and then we can start irrigating here. So job's done except attaching the wobblers. And over there, but it's too far away for this camera, you can see it is also greening up all by itself, but it's in the shade. And the moment we get closer, you might then be able to see that. When I go on such a walk, I won't carry the big camera. It is much easier with this little Osmo that I can put into my pocket. So here you might be able to see that. Yeah, so there I see some sunflowers and the sun hemp that have emerged, and it appears that the guys tested the system here. Well, one sector definitely is attached, so this will receive water the moment I'm getting to that by opening and closing the 8 valves that we have. So now let's go in here. Like I said, it is fake, but does send a message. So here in this area it has not germinated yet, but in a few days this also should be green. Oh, I see a little bit coming up there. And over there you can see a green carpet. And now that the irrigation here is ready, it is just a question of throwing enough water onto this place. So here behind the plywood board with all the valves, you can see that we do have new plants coming up. So let's see where we are. So that's the one that is open. So now I need to open this one. And I can hear it wobbling behind me already. So I will leave both open. Let's see what happens. So it seems to be wobbling good here. But over there, they will then lose pressure, at least at the very end. And the nozzle is different, because we did not have enough number 6 nozzles, so we mixed a little bit with the samples that we had, just to get some water out here. So yeah, so I can see there in the back that they are not wobbling the way they are supposed to. So the system is balancing itself out, and the flow is simply not enough. We do have an option. We can install another pump, a different one, that has 8,000 liters per hour flow, and then we can irrigate more in less time. So that would be an interesting option, but probably something for next year, and maybe it's not needed. because this is not supposed to be a plantation that is being irrigated all the time. We want to build a forest and eventually stop irrigating, but we need irrigation to get it started. So I rather use what I have and then observe, and if it's working, then I'm lucky, and if not, well, then I have to spend the money to improve it. I think that's a smarter way. Of course, a lot of these things can be calculated up front, but for that you have to know what you need, and that's our problem. We don't know, so we need to approach this in steps and be agile about it, so adaptive. So right now I am happy. It is wobbling well, and all the wobblers that I can see with my eyes, view on the camera a little bit on the disadvantage, they are providing good flow. So now this should wobble this way for an hour, and then I need to come back, and then I have to do it again, and hopefully next week this is not needed to come here every hour or every 2 hours or so, because at some point I also want to go to sleep. So that means the one that's now open, an hour, then this one, now or then, and then maybe that one. But I think the last two, this is over there. Right, yes. So because of the wobblers are missing, this one I will probably not use. So let's do an experiment just because you are here. So let me open this one here and close this. So this has the wobblers. I see, it is the outer loop basically. So I think what I'm going to do is I will let this work into the night, because this is pretty dry, and then turn it off remotely by simply shutting off the pump. Oh, we have a leak down there. Well, okay. And for now, this that we had open should continue. So that means I only have these two to handle, and that's the one for the night. So, and what I can also tell you and show you then in another video, we do have line of sight there to an access point, and we have received the ubiquity equipment, and now we can definitely build a station here based on a long cable, about 300 meters of electrical cable that goes all around there. And we should have this cable here on Monday, and then I can show you how this works. This here, which the dogs are inspecting, is the beginning of a concrete slab to put a 3000 liter water tank on it, and then we can improve the irrigation system here in the farmyard. Quite interesting to see more of these. This time They are very big. I hope you can see how far this wobbler is throwing the water droplets. So here in these two fields we can definitely experiment with different nozzle types and optimize the whole system. So it's a great learning opportunity. And we can also try to reduce the amount of pieces. So by pieces I mean, if you look at this here at the top, there's a blue thing, that's a pressure regulator, and maybe we can get rid of that by using a different type of wobbler that is 3/4 inch instead of 1/2 inch as it is right now. And then the PVC type goes down, and down there we also removed already a piece, a metal piece, another fitting. So maybe we can make this a lot simpler and therefore also cheaper. And there's less points to break, and it's faster to install because you have to do less work. And there's a different type of wobbler. So these are medium angle wobblers, and we are receiving soon some that are high angle, and they should throw the water up and therefore further out. So maybe that will then allow us, let me zoom over again, to achieve the very same thing or even a little bit more. So that would be interesting. So that means we will need less wobblers, and therefore we can drive with the same pump the irrigation for a larger surface. So those are very interesting options that we need to figure out. Of course there are mathematical models to calculate this, but we won't have them. But we can look and we can observe. So that's what we are doing. So this here is an interesting discovery. I'm pretty sure that this is not vetiver. And the one right next to it isn't either. And I wonder where this one here comes from. The vetiver, you can see there on the opposite side, it looks different. And I'm pretty sure that we did not plant anything here, because I am standing here on top of a cliff basically, and when we planted something we did not venture out into the water of this grey water pond. So this is something that showed up all by itself, and that is a very positive thing. The water level here is also getting down a lot, because now summer is in full swing, and that means there's no rain and everything around is drying out. And what comes through these pipes when we shower is obviously not enough. But this is a very positive thing. So we have identified where to put the cypress trees, and Angel is now beginning to make a huge trench to loosen up this concrete soil so that the cypress trees can make their root system well from the very start on. We have to help these things a little bit along, and shortly after there will be an irrigation system here as well, and then we plant them. And yes, we are planting by using an excavator. That's the only way. So the idea here is to make a deep trench that will then be refilled with the same material, and that should allow the roots to go deep very early on, so that the cypresses can make themselves a very good foundation for growing tall and act as that windbreak that we expect to have here. So here we do have the concrete slab for the water tank that can be installed here pretty soon. And then we can use a different pump and have a little bit more flow here for the irrigation in the farmyard. And there, where the doggies are curious, we are making a hole and a structure in there, which is to house some of the water lines so that we can connect them from here to the flexible pipe that goes underground. The doggies want to help. That goes underground to the different destination, and then there will be PVC pipe going through here underground, and it will eventually enter there where the hole in the wall is, so that gets connected to the distribution panel on the inside. This is all made in such a way that it will not freeze, and also will allow us to establish here a good driveway, and that way it will be nice. And yes, the doggies are trying to excavate a little bit more, and they think they can stay there because it's nice and cool. But soon they will be kicked out.